all these ideas through the mixture of Western ideas. Actually, we couldn't develop on our own, until we got British help. And since we got the help, we have been able to do everything ourselves. If you go down to South Africa and help the Africans with your ideas, getting, free mixture of ideas, everything will be okay. But the point is, you use the Africans as tools. You tell them that don't be in this city after 9 o'clock, don't wear this thing, don't do this thing, don't go to America, and the Africans don't go any part apart. Anywhere at all outside the South African Union.
You know, the white people in South Africa aren't allowed in the black areas either after dark.
It's because you created this situation. Why don't get free mixture? You look down on the Africans. That's the point. Am I quite clear? Because you said you believe in separateness, and I want you to come down to this point. You have not answered my question.
Just let me interfere. What's the fundamental cause of all this discrimination in South Africa? The one fundamental cause.
Firstly, because the Bantu in South Africa is not as educated and as highly civilized.
And therefore?
Yes.
And therefore
we've got to live with them together in that land. Remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You people want us to give them equal franchise rights. If we give them equal franchise rights within hardly any time whatsoever, the white man in South Africa will have absolutely no say in anything.
But you have been
in this case, you don't have any choice. Suppose now you think that if the society of the white and the society of the blacks is mixed, it will be quite dangerous for you because these people are not as civilized as the white. Exactly. Suppose these people are kept in separation, and you educate them, and the government, I think, believes within the 20 years they will be of the same standard as the white. And this means that you are giving them help mechanically, and unless you mix with them, if they are as good as you, then they will say, get away, who cares for you? Yeah. You must realize the fact that they will do so because you were not exchanging ideas for developing these people in terms of friendship.
But that's exactly what we're doing.
No.
The black man and the white man in South Africa are working together.
No.
There's constant contact between the ministers and the Bantu.
No, but
yes.
How can 9 white men get the interest of 9 million Africans? That's the point. If you get the Africans there in the government themselves,
it's not just
they
9.
Can be able.
It's not just 9 men, and it's not the 9 million black people aren't just sitting there and waiting for the government to do something for them. They're governing themselves. They got local governments already. Yes. And they're getting more and more local government.
Answer this question for me. I was asking you a personal question, if you don't mind. The point is, you believe in separateness.
Yes.
You believe that if you keep the Africans separate, entirely separate, and the whites entirely separate, you can be able to live in South Africa?
Again, you mustn't take this idea of separateness or apartheid too literal. It doesn't mean that's fenced around and blacks live there and whites live there.
That's how it is.
Oh, no,
if you go to South Africa, tell me this thing. You come near Johannesburg. Africans are not allowed to be in Johannesburg after 9 o'clock. Am I quite clear? Is it true?
No, it's not.
Is it not true?
In Johannesburg, after dark,
yes,
it's just those hooligans that walk around there. After dark, any self-respecting Bantu or white person won't venture out of doors.
Okay. Come to this point.
If you go to the railway station, are not the same as you think of them. There may be the minority.
I've been in contact with them all the time since I've grown up. I know what they're like.
But how far does the government make use of those who are educated, for example?
They're going back to help educate and uplift their people.
No, they are not going back. The point is, you try to educate these Africans to go back and help their people.
Exactly.
And that is where I tell you that there are only 43 Africans with university degrees. How can these 43 Africans go back with their Western ways and Western everything to this African society and help the people? The people will not understand them because you are turning back to primitivism in South Africa. And so when these people go down to the Africans don't, as it were, get them nicely.
You're always talking about you can't learn to swim unless you get into the water.
Yeah.
Well, you can't start educating them unless you send those that are educated back to
you ought to start educating them, for the 300 years that, South Africa has existed. We have been in the Gold Coast with Western contact for only 100 years. But if you come to the Gold Coast now, we are able to do everything ourselves. We are, at present, I'm sitting down equally with you.
You can't, it's absolutely unrealistic and stupid to compare South Africa with the Gold Coast.
Yes.
There's absolutely no comparison
whatsoever. But basically we are all Africans.
Just let me finish.
Oh, no. Go on.
In South Africa, at least in the Gold Coast, there has never been enough white men there to constitute a nationhood.
Yes.
If the Gold Coasters at any time wanted to drive him out, and they drove him out, those white men have got England for their homeland, We in
The only
South
thing I
Africa
know,
haven't-
the only
haven't
thing I
got
know
a
is,
homeland, old
according to
boy.
the partition of Africa and the scramble for Africa in 1884, all the white men came to Africa and they settled at the places which suit them best, according to health. If you go to South Africa, the climate is Mediterranean in certain places, so you see white men there. If you go to East Africa, it is tropical, but because of the highlands, I mean, it's relatively cooler, and so you see white men there. That's why you get the mama in East Africa. In the Gold Coast, it is jungle, mosquitoes and everything, and so the white men don't like to live in the Gold Coast. That's natural.
And Nini, and excuse me, Navy, and Dix, I want to ask you this. Dix just said that there weren't enough white men in the Gold Coast. Would your point of view be that believing in separateness, you've kept yourself so separated from the white men in the Gold Coast that maybe your standard of living has...
No, ma'am. We were just keeping, side by side with them. I tell you at first that if you come to the Gold Coast, through the contact with the whites, we have been able to develop. We can never develop on our own. That's the point. But we got Western ways and Western ideas and Western health. That's why we are, as equal to the whites now.
I suppose it's a different case with countries on West Africa. You see, we in West Africa, we were brought under the British rule, but you can't compare that with the Union of South Africa, because the white went there to live and not to bring these people to a higher standard of living and to educate them and bring and allow them to realize the full significance of
But
civilization.
the Africans, are the citizens. If they are citizens, why deny them these rights?
We're not denying them the rights.
Let me
No.
ask Mohamedou another question. You said at the beginning that you were Mohammedan, that Nini was Christian, that you had some prejudices against Christians.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a fairly frank question. Do you have any sense that Nini from the Gold Coast is less purely African than you are?
Yeah, I often feel that.
Why?
You see, we in Nigeria, and now part of Nigeria, northern Nigeria, we often feel that Africa is for Muslims, not for Christians. It's meant for Muslims. And our social life is entirely different from the Western ways. We are totally opposed to it because it sort of try to disassociate our religious principles.
We were talking a moment ago about discrimination between white and black. Suppose Nini comes to visit you in Nigeria. Would he be discriminated against in any way?
I suppose so, simply because, for one reason. You see, we eat in a bowl. In my home, we put a big bowl down, and you have about 3 or 4 people putting their hands all at the same time into the bowl.
There is the
And,
element of competition.
And you see, we don't allow Christians to interfere. We don't allow Christians to put their hands inside. You see, it's one of our religious doctrines. We don't allow, we're not supposed to eat with Christians in the same bowl unless we're obligated to. And so that's one of the things which we...
On this question of religion, I'd like to ask you one more thing. I've heard